Hi guys, it's been a while since I've been back on YouTube, and I'm going to do the page 112 book tag video. This was started by Sean, the Book Maniac, over at his channel, but I saw it first over at Steve Donahue's channel like most people have. And what this is, you take 3 books off of your shelf that you have not read yet that you're planning to read, and you read from page 112 to see if you still want to read it or not, or to see what you kind of get, or if you get anything out of that page from the story. And the idea behind this is that the first half of the book is the polished part of the book, because that's where the author and the editor is taking the most time to get right before they go and sell the book, and thinking that you start somewhere in the middle, being page 112, to see if the story still continues on for you or if you still want to read the book at all. And I have chose 3 different genres of books. I have chosen a historical fiction book, a young adult novel, which would be a young adult science fiction novel, and then also an adult fiction novel. And I'm going to start reading for you now from the first book on page 112. She thought of as a walkabout, her personal tour of the construction to see what had been accomplished, which never looked like much. She and Hollis usually did this together, but he wouldn't be home until 7, and Fritz was at a tennis lesson that lasted until 6. Given all the noise and the dust, the beeping and the heavy equipment backing up, and countless worker bees trooping in and out, she expected miraculous changes. Occasionally she'd note that a hunk of wall had been torn out, or an inexplicable 2x4 had been nailed between 2 joists. Most of it was the same grim wasteland she'd been looking at for 6 months. She was relieved when she reached the wing where the guest bedrooms were located. When the time came, they'd freshen up the paint and wallpaper, but for now it was fine. Lauren and Hollis had taken the original master suite, and Fritz was in a bedroom in the wing off the den. Fritz had asked them to put in a separate entrance for him, but Lauren had put her foot down. At 15 he didn't drive, but he was hard enough to keep track of as it was. Once he had his license, he was going to take off like a shot. She didn't want to give him a carte blanche to come and go as he pleased. For now, he was good about showing up for meals, coming in at a decent hour, and helping around the house. In return, she instituted an open-door policy with his friends, who were welcome at any time. This measure of hospitality allowed her to keep an eye on the kids Fritz was hanging out with, and gave her some assurance that he was behaving himself. She had had a rough couple of years with him. At ages 12 and 13, he was argumentative, rude, and uncooperative. She'd put him in counseling, and that helped, as did the medication his shrink had prescribed. Now he was back into his old sunny self, the bright, funny boy she so adored since birth. Passing in his room, she reached out automatically and tried the doorknob, pleased to find the room unlocked. During the difficult years, he'd guarded his privacy, protecting his possessions as though he lived among traitors and spies. She knew for a fact that he was smoking dope back then, because she smelled it through the heating vents, a phenomenon he was unhappily unaware of. This is from the adult novel, of course, and so what we get from that page, and I did read a little bit over on the other page because the sentence didn't stop at the bottom of the page, and I will do that with the other 2 books if that's the case there. What we get is, of course, that either they had just purchased a house and are remodeling it, or have been living in a house and wanted to forget about a past of some sort of reasoning, and there's also a troubled teen involved. So you would think the troubled teen, that might have been or it might have been the young adult novel, but since I mentioned that the young adult novel is a science fiction fantasy book, there's something more to the story. Does it make me want to read it? Yes, it makes me want to read the book to find out what happened to this teenager before the events that happen right now. Apparently from the last sentence that he did smoke pot and did have a lot of bad habits back then. But this is a book I have been wanting to read for a long time now, since I've gotten it. And it only came out just a month ago, I believe, and it's Sue Grafton's Why. So that is the first novel, and on to the second novel. Well, he wants to give you one, I know that much. That's not what I asked. Not now, not yet. He can't very well relieve Miles, he's done too well. I suppose it's too much to ask Nellie to take a tumble, break his neck, or the like. He'll be glad to see you. I wouldn't be too sure. Things went a bit badly, as I recall. All forgotten, Frank. You were ill. A mild description of an infernal malady. Sounds enough now, though. Two passing staffmen greeted Barlow, expressions shifting quickly from welcome to wariness. Lyman made to take the bag, but Barlow just said, "Lead the way, Teddy, and I shall humbly follow." In the tent, which smelled of mildew, drying wool, and lamp oil, Lyman said, "Really, Frank, I think you're just in time. Things are starting to move. We may see an end to it." He bent to unlock his field trunk. "They'd move a bit quicker if I had a division. We'll wait and see, Brandy, to celebrate your return." Bartlow patted his stomach, still a bit sensitive early in the morning. "At least you're alive, for which I'm indebted to an unwashed Scotchman. Old fellow knew his stuff, though. Indian service." Lyman returned the bottle to his trunk and locked it again. "Could be a grand fight today over the left. We pushed out several miles since he took ill. Lee stretched to breaking. And Grant's ordered general assaults twice now. Canceled them both times at the last minute. I think we'll finally go, though, if Sheridan does a bit better than he did yesterday, from what I gather. Our Southern friends made an error they might regret. Let's hope they see it that way and cooperate." So, obviously, this is the historical fiction novel, and this is, of course, about the Civil War, and it's Judgment at Appomattox by Ralph Peters. And what does that describe? That somebody has been taken ill, obviously, whether that has been from diseases that are associated with the battle during that time of the Civil War, or maybe it's winter time and he has just had a bad cold. And it's also telling me that nothing has happened yet, big-wise, as far as a war goes on, and they're itching to go into war and to fight soon. But this one is probably going to be read here pretty soon, within the next couple of months. I have been wanting to get into a lot more of the Civil War era and historical fiction books. I will be hauling a few books that I got at a library sale about the Civil War here in my next video, probably. But this was a book given to me by the author friend that I know as a customer at work, and he knows I like to learn about the Civil War, and he writes about the Civil War, and he suggested this as a good book. So I cannot wait to read this book. And from that description, of course, I do want to find out how he got ill, and also if they end up, of course, which obviously they do, get into any skirmishes or battles after that. On to the third and final book, and this is obviously going to be the young adult science fiction book. I can sense Dineus watching me. "You go ahead first," he says. "I'll trail behind." I open my mouth to reply, but it feels strange to talk through the veil, so instead I just start down the ridge. My progress is slow, even though the veil doesn't reach my feet, and it encumbers my arms and legs when I walk, and when I hold my arms out for balance going down a hill, the motion pulls at my hat. Every once in a while I kick a rock I didn't see or step into a divot and have to catch myself. Diadem bobs her head and looks round, more lively now in the newfound shade. The terrain levels out as they come closer to the road. An imperial messenger rides by toward the capital, kicking up a cloud of dust. 3 women make their way more slowly in his wake. Their dark embroidered gowns give them the look of priestesses. One woman looks in my direction, then stops abruptly and puts a hand on her companion's shoulder. The entire group stops to stare at me. Now I'm glad for the veil, so I do not have to face them. I step on the road ahead of them and walk along the edge. A short while later they hurry past, single file, clinging to the other side of the road. The other travelers I encounter behave the same way. Although my veil is meant to separate me from the world, the empty space around me is a real partition. After an hour walking, I've encountered more fearful and suspicious glances than I've had in all the months I was Rosemarked in my home village. In Dara, people knew me first as Ziba, and second as a deceased person. On this road, though, I'm nothing but a carrier of death. So that page is kind of interesting and a turning point in the story, it looks like it. So what can we tell from there? Of course, that she is on the escape, whether or not that she is with a friend or if that was her brother. And I don't know if the item is maybe a pet of hers or another sibling of hers, but something happened that maybe she was either sick that caused her to get Rosemarked and to be shunned by the entire city that she was living in. And of course, being Rosemarked, this book is called Rosemarked by Olivia Blackburn. So that was the page 112 book tag video. I would like to thank everybody who took the time to stop and watch this video, and hope everybody has a great rest of the day. And I will see everybody soon with another video, and that will be a long overdue book haul from the library store that I was recently at, plus a few other books I have gotten in my mail besides that. Thanks everybody.